I will do my best to turn my mic on. On my honor, I will do my best now to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law. To help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Today we're going to be talking about what I feel is one of the most important parts of the Scout law, and that's the very beginning, to do my best. The world often tells us about success being defined by winning. Actually, I liked what you said. I heard you say in your little speech that I don't care if they're a badge, but it's all those other things they're going to be learning. It's not about getting the badges. It's about what they're receiving from scouting. Being the first and receiving praise and approval from others, that's not why we do the things. It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. If you give everything you have, if you work with integrity, determination, humility, then you've already succeeded, no matter what the outcome is. No matter if you earn that badge or not or get the trophy, you've already won. Because it's not about winning, it's about doing your best. When you promise to do your best as a scout, you're making a commitment. But not just to your troop or to your leaders, but you're making a commitment to yourself and to God. To do your best means simply to work hard, to push through those challenges and to stay true to your values, even when no one is watching. It means doing what is right. Doing what is right not for recognition, but simply because it's the right thing to do. It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. Integrity means being honest with yourself and honest with others. It means staying true to the world and staying true to your principles, even when it's difficult. When you do your best with integrity, you build trust and respect with others. But not just with others. You build that respect within yourself. You know that you've given it everything you have. And it brings a sense of pride and fulfillment even when no trophy follows. It's about winning. It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. It's that young Jagger football player coming out here. Scouts, specifically, I want you to hear this. Believe in yourself. Don't let the fear of failure or the opinions of others ever hold you back. When you do your best, you have nothing to be ashamed of, no matter what the outcome is. If you fail, learn from it. If you succeed, be humble. In both cases, be proud that you did your best. Because it's not about winning, it's about doing your best. Doing your best also means respecting others along the way of your journey. It means competing with honor, treating others with kindness, and helping those who are struggling. Success is not about stepping on others to get ahead. It's about lifting each other and striving to be the best within yourself. When you give yourself all that you have, when you've given your best with love and respect for others, it's at that moment that you're truly living the Scout law. Being friendly, being courteous, being kind. It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. So how do we live this out in life and school? Don't focus on getting the highest grades just to impress others. Study hard, just simply because learning is valuable. When you play sports, play with passion. Play to win because that's what sports is, but also play with fairness and respect. Winning isn't worth it if you sacrifice your integrity. In relationships, be kind, be loyal, be trustworthy. Not for the praise, but because that's who you are. If you do your best in all areas of your life, you will look back with no regrets, knowing that you gave it your all. I personally have a story that fits into today's sermon. We talked about, failure and maybe not always succeeding. My wife knows that if anyone ever were to ask her, what I proudly brag about is the best thing I do in life, what I am better at than anything else in the world. I won't make her shout her out because she doesn't like to, be speaking or anything like that, but she will confirm I brag often that my greatest feature, the thing I do the better than anything else, is I am a great failure. I fail all the time. I fail spectacularly. I fail often. And I brag about it when I fail. Did you see that colossal failure right there? I'm often failing and I'm often bragging about it, and she will confirm that. So my story, that fits with today's sermon. I know it might be hard to believe, but once long ago, I was a 10-year-old little boy. When I was 10, I entered the Pinewood Derby at my Cub Scout pack. And every single year at that particular pack, without fail, the same family won first place at the Pinewood Derby. They were a dynasty. They were legends in our little corner of the world. Everyone knew them in scouting. No one could touch them. They didn't just win. It's like you're still starting down the track and they're already at the finish. They're that good. There were 3 kids, all staggered in ages, all champions. Their secret weapon, their dad. This man didn't just help them build their cars, he built their cars. I lived near Akron, Ohio, where the Goodyear facility was at, and he worked for Goodyear, and he used every tool at his disposal to build an engineering masterpiece. He used every trick of the trade. Put up a couple of pictures of some of those nice cars that this is the kind of thing that I would have to race against. So he put those wooden cars through. These aren't actually his cars. I didn't think about this 45 years ago to take the picture, but this is what it would look like. He put the cars literally through the wind tunnels at Goodyear to get the best aerodynamic shape to the car. He knew the perfect, precise place in the car to weight the car to make it go the fastest down the track. He balanced the car with the precision of a watchmaker. Nothing was left to chance. Now, because this family was unbeatable and because this dad did what he did, all the other fathers started making their kids' cars, not helping. The kid might have been in the room, but, the dads were making the cars, but the dads felt almost like compelled to do this to just give their kids a fighting chance at maybe second place, or at least not to be embarrassed halfway down the track while the other one's already finished. It became a competition between the fathers. The whole point of the Pinewood Derby was for a child to build something with their own hands, and that was lost. By the time I entered the race, the dynasty had been well established. I was up against the youngest brother in this dynasty, and the pressure was on. Like all the other dads, my father offered to make my car, but I was stubborn, and I said no. Then he suggested, why don't we build the car together? I refused passionately. This is my car, my race. I'm building my car. I want to do it myself. Now, my dad was persistent because he knew that there was issues with letting a kid 10 years old on his own to build the car. He reminded me he could help me, teach me how to use tools, teach me things about like safety and how to keep all my fingers and stuff like that. I stood my ground. I said, no, I'm doing this alone. It's my car, my race. Eventually, he relented, kind of knowing what was going to happen. I always had a feeling that he had a spare Pinewood Derby in the back shelf just waiting to pull that out at the final second. But there I was at 10 years old, building my own Pinewood Derby car all by myself. And the end result of that Pinewood Derby car, a car that looked like it was made by a 10-year-old. This is that 45-year-old car. Don't clap too soon. You haven't heard what happened. I accidentally cut the car in half. I don't know how I did it. I just remember it being cut in half, so I glued it back together. Then I also tried to make it aerodynamic. You got to cut, make it aerodynamic. I cut so much off, it was like a little sliver of wood. So if you really look at the top of the car, I found some wood putty or something like that in my dad's basement, and I molded it like a Play-Doh project. And so if you look at it, it looks like a lumpy Play-Doh, kind of fashioned the top of the car back together. I drilled holes in the bottom and placed the weights that I borrowed from my dad's tackle box. He still hasn't received them back yet. They're there. I used the wood putty to try to stick the weights in the car, but whenever I went like this, the weights kept falling out of the car. So I naturally did what any 10-year-old boy would do, an obvious solution to hold the weights in. I used Scotch tape. This is the same Scotch tape that's been on there for 45 years, okay? They don't make Scotch tape like this anymore, all right? Now, my proudest touch of the car, of course, the Budweiser decals. I don't remember where I found them, but I plastered them all over my little car. I was the only 10-year-old boy at that Pinewood Derby competition who had a beer sponsor. And also, let me tell you, after 45 years, I still have not seen a check from Budweiser, so I'm still waiting on it. Race day came, and all the cars were lined up at the table, so let's get a little view of what mine would have looked like with the other cars on the next slide. All the cars are lined up at the table. Are they there? Yes? No? There they are. So now you can just see the different ones. Every single one of the cars in the table looked perfect, polished, and sleek. Built by fathers who knew how to use a tool. Then there was mine. Clearly the laughingstock of the Pinewood Derby. But what do we talk about today? It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. I did my best. So I took my spot at the track. It was my turn to race. I held my lopsided, Scotch taped, cut in half, glued back together, Budweiser-sponsored car, and every person in the room knew what was about to happen next. It was going to be a brutal embarrassment. Everyone in that room knew what was going to happen except for one naive little 10-year-old boy who thought he had a chance. I mean, sure, it was pretty obvious my car wasn't the prettiest one there, but I believed she could race. I thought she could do it. My dad knew better. So my dad, knowing what was about to happen, just before my first race, he comes out to me with that father knows best advice. He looked at me and said, "Son, it's not about winning. It's about doing your best," and you did your best. I nodded with a subtle hint of letting me know what might be happening next. Placed my car at the top of the track, and they released, and they're flying down the track. My heart is pounding, thinking I might have a chance. And then my car won. The first race, but I won. I won. It was enough to give me confidence. The place erupted in a combination of laughter and cheer. They didn't know whether to celebrate or just be shocked, but it was a moment that we all kind of enjoyed together. It was a fluke, but somehow I won that race. Everyone in the race had far better cars, but my spirits were the ones that were boosted. Then the second race came. Placed my car at the top. I won again. Third race came. I won again. Fourth race came. I won again. The room was electric. It was Rocky Balboa, the underdog. Everyone started chanting for me to win. I was the underdog who made it now to the semifinal round. But now in the semifinal, I am against the best of the best of the best. And my dad knew it. So he comes out to me again, and just to remind me, to remember what I said, it's not about winning. It's about doing your best. You made it this far. Be proud of what you've done. So in the semifinal round, I placed my car at the top. The cars start racing down the track. Neck and neck. I was this close, and I won again. Now I made it to the final round, and guess who I'm racing against? Yes, the young boy whose father literally made his car into wind tunnels at Goodyear against my lumpy car. It was David and Goliath. In real life, David and Goliath. The aerodynamic car against the lumpy, taped together, cut in half, glued back together, sticky whatever on top of it with Scotch tape, Budweiser stickers. It's a mess. There's aerodynamic wind machine. Place my car at the top. Cars go screaming down the track. And I won first place. Maybe it's a little about winning. Okay. But more than winning, it's about doing my best. My imperfect, messy, authentic best. And that day, my best was good enough. And 45 years later, I have my car and my trophy as a 55-year-old man. After 45 years, I wonder how many of the other scouts still have the car their dad made. Even those scouts who won trophies in other years and won first place, I wonder how many of those scouts still have their car or their trophy that their father won. But I did my best, and I had something to be proud of. Sometimes the victories that matter most are not the ones that we expect to win. But it's those victories when we dare to try, no matter how impossible the odds may seem. And that's the spirit of the Pinewood Derby. And that's the spirit of life itself. It's not about winning. It's about doing your best. Amen. That belongs on the altar for a day, right? And I'm going to place this down here for our offering for the scouts. For the offering. And the kids are going to come forward. Just don't run into it. And ushers will come around and guide you forward for when it's time. And the scouts will, I keep saying the scouts, our children will lead us in communion.